Reimagining Success, Episode 24. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Hello everybody and welcome back. So in last week's episode, we were looking at why and how to start leveraging your time as part of this series on how you can set up your business to really work for you and your lifestyle goals, specifically how you can create more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment in your business. And part of the discussion last week when we were looking at leveraging your time was around looking at your business model and in particular your pricing. Now this week we're going to double click on this topic and look at how you can get the financials right in your business. It's a pretty big topic. We'll see how we go. It might be a slightly longer episode. It's certainly something we'll need to spend more time on in the future, but I wanted to cover this as sort of a general introduction to begin with. Now, first, actually, a bit of my personal story, because when I first left my corporate job back in 2013, I really landed on my feet. I was very lucky. I got several big consulting projects for well-known companies, thanks to my network, thanks to my expertise in digital marketing. And I was actually earning as much or more as I had been in my full-time job. However, I had the freedom to take time off between contracts, to travel and do other fun things. So it was definitely a massive step in the right direction and a huge achievement and something that, of course, made me very happy after leaving my job without much of a plan. However, again, although I was earning a lot of money, I didn't quite have the autonomy and flexibility that I had been after when I quit. And I was still tied to the client's offices, to that commute and to standard or rather really overtime working hours and stress and so on. So after a couple of years of consulting, I quit that kind of work and I took my business online. I started traveling full time to become that so fashionable idea of being a digital nomad. And I had the most amazing few years. I had incredible adventures, experiences, personal growth. But during this, which is what I like to call my hippie time, I wasn't earning a lot of money. And instead I was working through my savings. And so I went from one extreme of the pendulum swing to the other. And my focus these last few years has been on getting the balance right between earning money on the one hand and having the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment on the other. And that's what I really want to talk to you about. And first, of course, why are the financials so important? Maybe this is obvious to you. It certainly wasn't to me. So I will sort of go through this topic from my own bad experience, I suppose. But the irony is that worrying about money is the biggest reason why people stay in their full-time corporate jobs, despite longing to do something else. They hold on to those beliefs that a stable salary from one employer is the safest way to live and work, that freelancing or running your own business is inherently risky and poorly rewarded, and that their mortgage payments, their very comfortable lifestyle and so on would suffer if they were ever to quit their job. So again, it's easy to go to the other extreme when you do manage to quit your job, as I myself experienced. So you start questioning all those beliefs you've held on to for so long. You discover that money is not actually an important personal value to you, and that there are so many other more important things in your life. And then you head off optimistically into the world of working for yourself. You start dabbling quite casually. You don't pay a lot of attention to your business strategy, your income level, and then you kind of just have that faith that the money is going to follow your passion. And the truth, of course, is somewhere in between these two extremes, because holding on to a full-time corporate job and stable salary is not the only or even the safest way to manage your income and financial obligations. But manage your own business so that it meets your income goals does take hard work and focus on the right things. So it's not automatic when you set up your business. It's not, ta-da, now I'm going to have the money and flexibility and freedom and so on. So money is not an end in itself, but something that enables the very freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that we're talking about. And there are a few things that money does. First of all, earning sufficient and consistent money in your business means that people are willing to pay for your services, which means that you're doing something of value and having a real impact, which is so important and really central to why we're starting these businesses in the first place. It means you can choose to work with clients and customers who are fit for your values and strategy, rather than feeling desperate to say yes to anyone who comes along because you just need the money. It means you can afford to take time off, whether to travel, to return to your studies, to spend time with your loved ones, or maybe to have a baby. It means you can reinvest some of your profit into growing the business, creating more freedom for yourself and making even more of an impact. And it means your business is actually viable and will be sustainable, so that you can keep serving people on the one hand, keep living this new life that you've chosen for yourself on the other, rather than have to resort to taking up another full-time job. Okay, so if you agree with me, if you recognize that money is important to your goals of creating more freedom and flexibility, then now what? What do you need to do in order to get the financials right in your business? And I want to look at 5 different angles to this topic, starting with your mindset. Because before even getting to the numbers themselves, you really have to start with your mindset. A lot of us have money stories that we've developed over the years. We may have inherited them from our parents and from our personal experiences, from school, from TV, whatever. Maybe your parents argued about money when you were growing up, or maybe it was a taboo subject that no one ever talked about. And as a result, you have a lot of beliefs on this topic. And these beliefs can really hold you back when it comes to running your business successfully. For example, I need a full-time job for the stable salary and security it gives me. Running your own business is inherently risky and means compromising on your standard of living. You can't earn a lot of money doing work that you love. Creative work pays less. Rich people are selfish and greedy. So you can see how these beliefs, and they are beliefs, they're not facts, these beliefs can become self-fulfilling. If you believe, for example, that your work that you're doing, that you're loving, that you're enjoying is not going to make you a lot of money, then that's how you're going to go about your business. You won't even try to make more money. You won't raise your prices. You won't work with the right kinds of clients. Or maybe you think you're trying, but you'll actually be sabotaging your own attempts. So the beliefs can become self-fulfilling. It's really important to take a look at this. So my first piece of advice to you is to take a look at your own money story, your own beliefs, and see how you can start to challenge those beliefs and really reframe them into more constructive ones. For more on mindset, by the way, you might want to have a look at or listen to episode 8. So head back to episode 8 of the podcast, where I looked at 9 mindset shifts that you need to make when working for yourself. And we will also be digging deeper into this mindset topic next week. So come back next Thursday for our next episode on mindset. Now, the second thing, once you've worked on your mindset, bearing in mind, of course, that this is an ongoing process. It's not just a one-off exercise. You need to take a look at the underlying business model that you're following. So maybe you have no business model in place at all, or you have something, but it's not actually giving you what you want and need from your business. And as we said a few weeks ago when we were starting this series on setting up your business in the right way, your business model is absolutely fundamental to determining whether or not you'll get that freedom and flexibility from the work that you're doing. So in this context, with your business model, important aspects to consider include defining your overall business goals. So what success looks like for you, of course, so that you know what you're working towards and you can track how you're doing, adjusting your actions, stepping things up if you need to. Identifying a customer or client target who has an urgent and important problem, who sees value in the solution that you can provide, and who is willing and able to pay for that solution. Establishing your credibility and authority so that you become the go-to person in this area and you can charge accordingly. Creating the right products and services that will address the pain points of your audience, and creating packages with both pricing and the mechanics that will reach your goals. And again, remember last week's post on leveraging your time. So go head back to last week's podcast episode on how to leverage your time to create more freedom and flexibility. Now, the business model is a massive topic and it's really going to require quite some strategic thinking and validation on your part. So do take your time, make sure that your model reflects your goals on the one hand and that you're translating it into daily, consistent action on the other. So number 3 is staying on top of your numbers. Now, you may well be a maths whiz who loves Excel or who gets excited by budgets and income targets and accounting reports, in which case, congratulations, you probably know more than I do. If not, however, you do not want to be sticking your head in the sand and ignoring those numbers altogether. You don't need to become an accounting expert, but you definitely need to understand at least the basics of how your business works, what you're spending and what you're actually earning. So having a quick search on Google for business finance and the numbers you should look at and so on gave me all sorts of detailed articles on your balance sheet, your P&L, your profit and loss statement and so on. And these are very important, especially in the UK if you've set up a limited company or the equivalent in your country rather than just being self-employed and managing a business that way. If you really launched a business, those are important reports and accounts to be looking at. However, if you're just starting out, you can start with the very basics. And these are 3 very simple numbers that I recommend. So first, what are your business expenses? Second, what are your sales figures? And then third, what is your profit? So in terms of business expenses, consider, your one-off setup costs if you're really just starting out, as well as ongoing costs. It might be monthly expenses that you have, and they may be fixed or they may be variable, so you can increase or decrease as you go. And also think about the different categories. So think about web hosting and software, accounting, training, coaching, advertising, all these different categories. So that's business expenses. And I know I'm going very quickly, but we can't quite get into the detail. Unfortunately, today we're looking more at the overall topic of your financials. So business expenses. Secondly, your sales figures. And there you want to look at both your sales targets, because yes, you really should have an idea of the goal that you have. You could have, sort of a minimum goal and then a stretch target if you'd like. And it might be based on having X clients at Y price. You're going to be aiming for Z sales this quarter, the next 3 months, or this year. And then your sales actual. So that's what you actually make each quarter. And the third number is your profit. So your profit really is as simple as your total sales minus your total expenses, and that's the money that's left over once you've paid all your bills. So given that this is a very brief overview here, if this is an area where you're not at all comfortable, I'm not an expert, you really should consider talking to an expert. So get an accountant, speak to an accountant who can support you so that you don't make any costly mistakes in terms of missing taxes or getting fines or whatever it might be. Next, tracking results. Now, of course, it's not enough just to create a business model with income targets and pricing once and then, forget all about it. While it can be disheartening when you're just starting out to see that you're not making a lot of money and, you're not where you want to be, it's much better to face this reality head on and then to really put in the effort and get the help you need to step things up and get onto a growth curve rather than ignore it and just hope for the best. So again, in terms of what you should be tracking, aside from the obvious expense, sales and profit numbers that we just looked at, you could also consider, for example, who are your most profitable clients and who are the least profitable. What amount of time are you actually spending on each client or project compared to the time you estimated at the start of the project and perhaps the amount that you actually billed the client for? Often we tend to overservice clients. It's really important to adjust that and get an idea so you can charge the right amount next time. What proportion of your time are you spending on actual fee-earning work for clients compared to the time you're spending on business development, marketing, accounting, admin, and so on? So, you may think, I'm going to work 5 days a week and I'm going to this, that, and the other. The reality is you might just be, working 1 day a week, actually, in terms of hours on real billable work for clients. And the rest is a lot of the other stuff going on around the marketing, the sales, and so on. Remember too that results are never going to be instantaneous, so the work you're putting in today will take probably at least 3 months to show up in your business. Whether that results in more traffic to your website, more warm leads, or even more sales. But you really have to be patient and keep doing what you're doing, even when you don't see the impact right away. So swallow your ego a little bit. Maybe don't stare at the numbers every second, at least not the immediate numbers, and then check in sort of every quarter to see how you're doing. And then finally, in the context of financials, a word on your overall approach here, because traditional accounting, as I was just talking through, uses the simple equation sales minus expenses equals profit. However, the danger in this model is that there's no guarantee that you're going to make any profit at all, because as you increase your income, you're likely to be spending more as well, investing in fancy new tools and software and so on. And to be honest, this has also been my experience personally. I'm sure you've had this too, that when you get a salary increase as an employee, the danger is that you simply increase your spending habits accordingly. And in the other direction too, when I quit my job, I actually cut down on my expenses and I managed to live a perfectly fine and comfortable life. So it's very easy to just adjust your expenses to the sales you're making, in which case you end up with little or no profit at all. So a newer model put forward by someone called Mike Michalowicz actually flips this equation so that you get sales minus profit equals expenses. Now, this is a model that's based on paying yourself first, which means, yes, of course, putting aside any tax due, but then taking a predetermined percentage of profit from every sale and only then using what's left to spend on everything else. And this will mean that you're making sure that you're eliminating or at least minimizing unnecessary expenses that can easily eat into your profit. Now, I'm certainly no expert on this model, but I think it's definitely food for thought. And if it sounds intriguing, I'd encourage you to check out his book, Profit First. And he has a lot of free resources on his website as well. So Profit First, if you Google that, you'll find that. Now, before wrapping up, this whole topic of financials is a huge topic, but I do hope this little introduction has given you at least some pointers, some new insights maybe that you haven't thought about before to help you begin to get your financials to where they need to be for you to achieve your personal and professional goals with your business. Next week, again, we're going to take a step back from the concrete strategies and tactics of your business to look at your mindset and how that can be so critical to getting you what you want for your business. So thanks so much for listening. It may be one of those episodes that you need to go back and listen to again. I appreciate I spoke quite quickly to fit in all those 5 points there on this very complex topic. So just to recap again, number one, mindset. Mindset has to come first. Number 2, deciding on the right business model. Number 3, staying on top of your numbers. Number 4, tracking results. And then number 5, considering this alternative profit first model. So again, go back and listen again, take notes, and have a think about your business model, the numbers you're tracking and so on. Maybe put something into your calendar to remind you to check these things regularly, every month, every quarter. And I look forward to seeing you back here next week when we're looking at mindset in getting what you want from your business. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Reimagining Success with Anna Lundberg. I'm sure you know someone, a friend, a colleague, who could also benefit from this podcast. I'd love for you to share the podcast or maybe your favourite episode with them so that they can listen too. Thank you so much for your support.